and Cathy gave some, well, I'm going to give it to you right now. Dan and Cathy said leaders need to be self-aware and situationally aware. And so for a few holes on the golf course, I had a mentoring lesson and advice from a very good leader all about awareness, self-awareness and situational awareness. In fact, I came away from our time together and I went to a book that I wrote a few years ago called No Limits. And the reason I went to that book is because basically the thesis of that book is that if you grow in your awareness and if you develop your abilities and if you make the right choices, you got that? Grow in your awareness, develop your abilities, make the right choices, you can reach your capacity. Well, the advice that we're talking about and our money's with Maxwell, it's all about capacity. It's all about how can we reach our potential. Well, I thought about the No Limits book and how that awareness is so important in your life. I mean, let's face it, you can't fix what you're unaware of. And that reminded me of one of my laws of growth in the 15 Laws of Growth book, which says, it's the law of awareness, by the way, that you must know yourself to grow yourself. And then I began to think about my life and my leadership and the misses that I've had in what I've attempted to do. Because I've had some hits, but I've had some misses. And not all of the misses I've had, but most of the misses have been misses because I assumed something that I just really didn't know. In fact, I look back and I think maybe the mother of all mess-ups in leadership is assumptions. That we begin to assume things. That's why I say to leaders all the time, you need to find your people before you lead your people. The first responsibility of the leader isn't to lead others. We got to find them first. But let me say this, I got to find myself before I can lead myself. And I've got to certainly find myself. I've got to be self-aware before I can be situationally aware. I've got to be able to understand me before I can understand you, and I got to be able to understand both of us so that I can understand the mission that we're really trying to do. Albert Einstein said, once we accept our limits, then we can go beyond them. But we can't go beyond our limitations until we accept them, and let me just say this, we can't accept them. Now, I'll come back to that in a moment. But here's the question I have for all of us. Is my inside strength greater than my outside challenges? In other words, am I bigger on the inside than I'm on the outside? And if you'll just give me a moment, I could talk about faith, but if you're not a person of faith, you know that doesn't matter to me. You're my friend. I love you unconditionally, okay? But how about your values? You see, for me, I have faith, God, and I have values. It's called double strength core for me. You see, an empty bag won't sit up straight. Never has, never will. You put an empty bag outside, it falls over, a little bit of wind, and it's gone. And people without values or faith, they have a tendency to be empty. And we need to be filled. And Dan said that day, Joshua needed to be filled. His bag needed to be filled so that he could have the self-awareness and the confidence to say, I can do this, and he could have the situational awareness to lead the children of Israel to say, we can do this. And so now, if you'll allow me, out of the message, I'm just quoting just a couple of things out of the Old Testament. These are the words of God to Joshua. I'll be with you. I won't give up on you. By the way, as I give you these words, just think how they must have filled Joshua on the inside. I'll be with you. I won't give up on you. I won't leave you. Strength, courage. You're going to lead this people to inherit the land that I promised to give their ancestors. Give it everything that you have, heart and soul. Have strength, have courage. Don't be timid. Don't get discouraged. God, your God, is with you every step of the way. That self-awareness of who he was because he had values and faith on the inside, allowed him to be situationally not only aware of the challenge of leading people who had lived beneath their own privileges for 40 years, it gave him the confidence that transferred and was contagious to the children of Israel until literally, in just a few days, they did what they hadn't done for 40 years. And what Dan Cathy was saying is, leaders in a time of crisis, leaders during this time, they need to be self-aware and they need to be situationally aware. Because a crisis, we hear people say all the time, that crisis will make you, that adversity will really make you stronger. And I always want to stop saying, no, not necessarily. Makes a lot of people weaker. Makes a lot of people give up. You see, an adversity crisis, it doesn't reveal who you are. Or, I mean, a crisis doesn't make you better. Adversity doesn't make you stronger. It just reveals who we are. Again, my friend Ed Bastian said when we were talking about values, Ed said to me, he said, John, when COVID-19 came, it was too late to get your values. You had to have them on the front end. So when the difficult time came, you could stand, you could be strong. In other words, values on the inside have a way of showing up on the outside. Dan Cathy that day was teaching me, as I'm passing it on to you, that leadership really is successful when we are self-aware of who we are because we have good stuff on the inside that allows us to be situationally aware